Hey guys, it's Joe, the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. Happy Monday afternoon. I'm joined this afternoon by Mel Gill. She is the host of Mel Gill Sports Pod. Welcome to the show, Mel.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here too. We're going to be talking some Toronto Raptors for sure. Before we get into that, though, you guys, let's hear Mel, how'd you get started in this industry?
Honestly, I'm kind of still getting started. I'm only 19. I just finished my first year studying sport media here in Toronto. I've just always loved sports, mainly basketball, if you can see in the back, got all the jerseys and everything. I kind of started just in high school, kind of commentating some games, and now just kind of doing like maybe more social positions online and marketing and some writing here and there. So I'm just trying to kind of get experience. And then kind of like my dream in the future is to be something like Kayla Gray, where she has like her own show and some sideline reporting, something like that.
That would be fantastic. I know you're going to get there, so keep
Thank
following that dream. But where did the
you.
passion originally come from for sports?
Honestly, my dad, me and him watched soccer when I was like 4 years old, and I've played soccer and basketball since I was that age as well. And then I really fell in love with the Raptors, maybe like 2013 ish. I just loved Lowry and DeMar, and from there it just kind of took off, and it's still growing to this day.
Oh, that is fantastic. Now, I know you are in that Toronto area. Were you able to get to those games back then?
I got to a few. I didn't go to as many as I do now, but yeah, I got to see a couple, and it was incredible.
The Toronto Raptors, there's something so special about them. Being our only Canadian team, what do they mean to you?
Honestly, it's just everything. One thing I really love about the Raptors is just how it unites everyone. Like, no matter what your differences are, where you come from, whatever, it's honestly like when you're there, like in Jurassic Park, especially, it's just all of that just goes out the window and you're just there with everyone, enjoying your team and supporting those guys. And I think it's just really beautiful how sports and basketball in particular has that power to bring people together.
Yeah, absolutely. The hashtag We the North
Mhm.
sure really does. It puts it in a good way because really it is Canada. Um, all behind the Toronto Raptors. We don't see many basketball fans up here. We have to admit, more basketball fans in America, but the basketball fans that are true are so strong up here.
For sure.
Absolutely. Now, let's look at the Toronto Raptors right now. Now, we know they struggled. They weren't able to get where we wanted them to get this season. What are your hopes for next?
Honestly. So, I don't think we're going to have a crazy off season. I think it's just going to be very low key. And I think it's going to be another developmental year, just like how this past year was. We still defied expectations this past year. Everyone thought we were going to be in the lottery again, which I didn't think was very realistic. That season in Tampa, it was Tampa, but we were back in Toronto. And I think I'm very proud of how we did last season. And um, I think this year it's just going to be, getting those guys more playoff experience and just developing those guys. Like Scotty had a great year last year, rookie of the year. I think he's going to have another leap this year. And again, I don't think we're going to be making any moves this offseason. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with Boucher and Thaddeus Young. They're both free agents. Whatever happens, I think I trust Masai and Bobby. Whatever they end up doing, it's going to work out. Yeah, I have full faith in them, and it's going to be interesting. I think in a couple of years, we'll definitely be in a position to compete again. I don't think this next year it's going to be something crazy. I do see us kind of like at that fifth spot again, hopefully. And yeah.
Looking ahead at the NBA draft
Mhm.
coming up, I believe we have the 33rd pick,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Any predictions on who you think they're going to pick up?
So I haven't looked too far into it, so I haven't looked at all available options, but someone I really like Caleb Houston, and I think right now he's projected to be 30th pick. So if he falls to 33, I think it'd be great to pick him up. His size, his shooting is something that we could benefit from.
Yeah.
And, he played with Scotty Barnes in high school at Montverde. And I've heard he has, so there's some controversy with his shooting. He didn't have the best year at Michigan. But I mean, they said the same thing about Scotty Barnes last year. They said his jump shot's broken. They said he can't shoot. I mean, I said this last year after we drafted him, like, you can teach shooting. You can develop that, but you can't teach size and athleticism. And so I think that also paired with the fact that he's from Mississauga. He also said that it's been his dream to play for the Raptors. And the fact that him and Scotty Barnes actually talked about Toronto when they were in high school, just that, it's kind of crazy. And it just kind of makes a great story. And I love to see the Raptors pick him up if he falls to 33.
Yeah, hopefully he does fall down there. Was there anyone else that you were looking at if he's not available?
So I was really high on Leonard Miller. I'm sure you've heard of him, but he ended up not declaring for the draft. I think he's with something with the G League. But I was really high on him. He was really great. I actually got the chance to see him when he played for the Ontario Scholastic Basketball Association. But other than him, I haven't really looked too into it yet. But it'll be interesting. We'll see. Whoever we pick, it'll work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for the next season to start in the NBA. What did you think of the NBA Finals this season, Mel?
I mean, it wasn't as great as other years, but I mean, Steph Curry, one thing I just got to say, he's amazing. I don't know how anybody can hate on him. I don't know. It's just greatness, it was just amazing to see how Clay came back from injury, and honestly, they came back to win that. And I was kind of rooting for Boston a little, which I know if you're here in Toronto, it's kind of like a no-no. I really like Jason Tatum. It was unfortunate that he didn't have a great game 6 and everything,
Yeah.
But I'm happy for the Warriors. Also happy for Andrew Wiggins. I mean, he beat all those, he's a bust and he's bad. I'm happy for him, and to see him up there on the podium with the Canadian flag and everything, it was amazing. So
yeah, it definitely was. Mel, can you tell us a little bit about your show and when it runs?
Yeah, so I've kind of been taking a little break, so we're not really been on schedule. But my podcast it's kind of all about bringing a different perspective to sports. So I think in the media we have a lot of power, and a lot of times it's not really used for what it should be, and there's a lot of negativity and that kind of stuff. So I do think that since we have that power, we should use it to do something good. And so a lot of the reason why I like sports is for the off-court stories, and just hearing where players come from or how they fell in love with the sport, and just the whole culture around basketball. So on my podcast, I like to interview whether it's athletes or people in the industry, especially women in sports. I love having women on my podcast, just to hear their stories, how they got to where they are. And also mental health is a huge thing I like to talk about, just kind of shedding light to important issues in sports that it's kind of different than your typical sports podcast where it's, all analytics and all that kind of stuff. I just like to talk about stories and bring light to those situations.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing in the mental health aspect into that, because I really do think the more that we start talking about mental health, and especially getting athletes, ex-athletes opening up about mental health struggles, really is so needed in our society, because if it helps one person, Mel, you're doing a phenomenal job. So thank you so much for bringing that out in what you're doing.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it.
Oh, Mel, it was a pleasure having you on today. Can you let everyone know where they can follow you?
First, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. And you can find me pretty much anywhere at Mel Gill Sports.
Okay, Mel, thank you so much for joining me. You guys, make sure you go over and give Mel Gill a follow. You don't want to miss out on the content that she has happening. You guys have a great day. I will be back at the top of the hour with another Joe Madden Sports podcast. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks for having me.